Hey everybody, it's Jenny and I am back today with another week in my memory planner. I am using some stickers from Pinkfresh Studios and then some of these rub-ons from 49 and Market, and I just pulled them out. I don't know which ones I will use exactly, but this Pinkfresh collection, I was so excited when I saw it. I knew I had to have it, and I absolutely love it. It's just so perfect for everyday use. I have already printed my photos on my Canon selfie printer. I created the collage using the Pinkfresh app. There are lots of photo collage apps out there, so if you are unsure as to how to create a collage, there are so many apps. So the photos end up being about 1.5 by 2 inches wide. I say about because they are digital prints and they are not true 4 by 6s. I love this size in a memory planner that is around 7 by 9 inches. I feel like they're a really good ratio for the size pages. I tried at the beginning to use a 2 by 3 like I had been in my big happy planner, and they were just too big. I'm going to lay my photos out on the day that they happened. I do plan my weeks in advance. I simply go back through my camera roll on my photo or on my phone, and I write down the photos that I want to use and what day they happened. There are days where the photo is fairly arbitrary, a photo of my dog, a photo of my cat, a photo of my backyard, and so those could go anywhere. But otherwise, if there's no reason that impedes, if there's just no reason why I couldn't put it on the day that it happens, I put it on the day that it happens. But if there's space constraints, or if it just doesn't look like it doesn't look good where on the day that it happens, like for the layout purposes, then I will move it. Now, the 3 photos down on the bottom, for example, do I need 3 photos in that particular space? No, not really. However, it's my son's birthday, and so it makes sense to have all 3 of those photos on that space because they are all about his birthday, and so it does kind of make sense. Though I wouldn't have to. I could absolutely have put one of their over in the notes section or something like that, but I actually am perfectly okay with having 3 photos in one day, so I left them. Now that I've adhered all my photos, I'm going to go ahead and start creating my 3 clusters for my visual triangle. I'm going to start with this rub-on. I'm just going to create a pretty small little cluster over here in the upper right hand section, and by small I mean by space, like it's not going to take up a lot of room. And then I also am only going to use this rub-on. I'm not going to do any layering here in the beginning. I do believe when I start out making this cluster that it will end up getting built up later. That's why I leave it for now. However, I obviously am not 100% certain of that, but I do think that that's probably the way that it will go. And I really just sort of wanted that clean, simple look over in that upper right hand corner because I intended to go a little bit more with some more depth in some of the other clusters. So now I pulled out this other package of rub-ons that is a little bit more nature inspired. This one like has some flowers, for example. And I'm going to rub this. This is really big. It's basically taking up the better part of 2 rows, as opposed to the one up at the top where it was much smaller and it was like word definitions. Now this one I'm rubbing all down here, and I love it because obviously, as most of my weeks, there are quite a few outdoor photos, including a photo of the pool, and then one of my son's birthday photos is of him hiking. And so I really wanted to pull in some of the nature elements through these rub-ons in my decor. So now I'm pulling in another rub-on in the upper left-hand corner. The nature one, did I already say that? Anyway, a nature rub-on in the upper left-hand corner, and then these will become bigger clusters. Now these stickers are so cool. They are designed by a designer who does just a lot more of the really beautiful modern embellishments, which I am always an enormous fan of. And so I could not wait to use these in my memory keeping. And then there's just plenty of standalone designs, but then there's also some that are great for layering. Now, like right there, for example, that one's perfect and it matches up with my photo of my cat. I had washed, this is just like the dumbest story ever, so I'll tell it at least 3 times. Just kidding, I'm not going to, but washed the rug. I didn't want it to rest upon my floors while it was drying, so I had pulled it up and over. I knew it would dry fast. It's super hot here. You know, it just dries quickly. And of course my cat wanted to lay in that little cavern right underneath where the rug was, you know. Good story, right? Okay. Anyway, so now we're going to work a little bit more. So now see what I talked about over there in the upper right hand corner about I knew that there would probably be another cluster. So I layered a blank little circle label and then on top of it a little flag. And then same thing over in the upper left hand corner over there. There was a label with like a coffee cup. I don't really drink coffee. I mean, occasionally I will drink coffee, like 5 cups a year or something, but it's really not regular enough for me to use coffee embellishments. So I used the label and I just covered the coffee cup with a different part of the sticker that I wanted to use. So it still is awesome because I'm able to use it for layering purposes, but the coffee part just wasn't a thing. Now I also love the other big cluster where again it had words that I didn't want to use, but I did love the leaves. So I used the circle, I layered the big ticket on top of it, and voila, it creates a great cluster. Now, I had in my brain that I wanted to use labels this week for notating the activities and the appointments. And so I pulled out these Studio Calico labels, and obviously I was misremembering what I had. So I wanted to use gray labels, but I wanted to use white inside, gray outline. Yeah, I barely had any of those. So these are dark gray, like charcoal gray. So I'm going to use those, but that wasn't what I had in mind. It'd just been so long since I'd even used any of these. Now I used to use these so regularly that I could basically tell you what I had just right off the top of my brain, but it'd been so long that I couldn't even begin to remember. So it's just one of those things. I guess I've been in such a habit of only writing directly on the paper that it's just been a minute since I have used any of the labels. Studio Calico seems to be phasing out these out of their inventory, but I will link you up to what they do have left. They're some of my favorites, so I'm very sad that they're getting rid of them. They are affordable and great, and it's really too bad that they're not. It doesn't seem like they're going to be carrying them anymore, but oh well, such is life, right? So I use these to write the activities and the appointments. That's sort of the first phase of my journaling. It's one of the things that tells the stories of our weeks. I look at memory planning as a how we live. I do other memory keeping. I create a handful of 8.5 by 11 traditional scrapbook pages throughout the year. I do quite a few traveler's notebook memory keeping layouts as well. And then I also create my day-to-day planners that keep me on track, get me where I need to be, those types of things. The traditional scrapbook pages are for big stories. The traveler's notebook layouts are just for, small stories. And then this notebook is for how we live, like just what our weeks look like, where we go, what we eat, those types of things. And we still have a lot going on. We have a lot of activities. We have a lot of stuff because I still have a school-aged kid. So my point is that how we live, all of us live differently, right? So my point is that if I had less activities and less appointments, I would absolutely be documenting like, oh, it's sweater weather now. I picked up a new sweater because it's getting cold and, I needed a new black cardigan, or it was time to break out the boots, or we started eating tacos at this new place, or things like that. Like it's just so much about the micro level about how we live, and everybody has things to document about how we live. It's not just about where we go and not just about who we see. And so I know that can look really crazy for somebody else. Like if you're comparing your memory planner to mine, for example, because mine is very full of where we go and who we see because I have school-age kids. But there is so much beauty in how you live if you live a quieter lifestyle because you don't have school-age kids. And so I think back of all of the years that I could have done this project when I didn't have school-age kids and how magnificent it would have been and full of detail if I just had been doing the project. So a look at how you live. How do we, or how do I live? So yeah. All right, so I've been doing my journaling. I've been using a mild liner to create my lines and then telling little stories about specific photos. And then now I'm just doing a bigger story. My son got a new car again. That's a big story, right? I don't expect all of you have a big story like that this week, but you might have a story about a new recipe you tried, or you might have a new story about the last flowers you brought in from your garden, something like that. That's, to me, that's what a memory planner is about. A memory planner is about documenting how we lived. How did we live this week? So just my take on it, just my perspective. I've been doing this and have completed memory planners since 2016, and that's how I look at this project. How did we live, or how did I live if you are a person that is doing this project just for you. Now I'm doing one last little to add to this cluster in the upper left-hand corner. So I did one more little definition, and then I'm adding some splatters to combine it to that other part of the cluster up there, so it just looks like it's connected and not like it's two separate parts that are next to each other. I wanted to make it look like it was cohesive and all just one big thing right there. So I was also sort of giving the journaling lines a little bit of time to dry. My handwriting is just, I tend to smear things quite a bit, not necessarily mild liners. I actually tend to smear the pen quite a bit, if you want to know the truth. And it really has everything to do with the way that I hold the pen and how close my hand is to the paper and stuff like that. It doesn't really actually have anything to do with the pen specifically. But it's just something I'm learning about myself and trying to pay a little bit more attention, which isn't necessarily how I am built. I sit down and I want to finish the project, and then I just go gangbusters because I want to finish the project, which is great to have a finished project. And that's normally what I celebrate, is having a beautiful finished project. But I'm trying to slow down just a tiny bit, not a lot, just a little bit. So to me, when I look at this, it's another finished, beautiful week that I'm so happy to have, even with its imperfections, because it is a beautiful, finished story that documented this week. And so now I have one more open space, and I'm going to trim out the word capture, and I'm going to rub it on to that open little spot, and that's it. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I really do appreciate you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment box below, and I will do my very best to get back to you. Thank you so much, and make it a great day.